Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy female entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to another episode of the eCommerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. It's the 4th week in a row that I've brought a guest onto the show, which isn't the norm, as I usually try and spread them out more. But these conversations have been so good, I couldn't make you wait. Today's guest is Mike Yan, co-founder and CEO of ManyChat. And I could go into the details of his tech background and what makes him so cool. But instead of that tired intro, I want to take this opportunity to open up your mind a bit so you don't skip this episode. Here's the thing. If you know where ManyChat started as a Facebook Messenger marketing app, you might have all the same preconceived icky notions about messenger marketing that I did before I met Mike. And when we had our pre-chat, I literally went and signed up for a ManyChat account right away. It's that cool, and it's that important to the overall marketing ecosystem. In this conversation, we talk all about how consumer behavior is changing, how we as marketers and CEOs need to keep up, and how a tool like ManyChat can help you better leverage the platforms you're trying so hard to build awareness on and get conversions from, like Instagram. We already know how hard it is to get people off of the Instagram app to take any type of conversion action. But what if there was a tool that would meet your customers where they're at, making it that much easier to reach your ultimate business goals? That's what ManyChat can do, and Mike is going to tell us all about it. So as we go into this episode, I encourage you to come in with a completely open mind, to think beyond the messenger marketing of yesteryear, and see how chat automation can help you grow your e-commerce business. To the episode, friend. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jessica. Glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you. And when your name first came across my desk, I was a little weary because I, too, like most people, have some preconceived notions about messenger marketing. So I definitely want to get into kind of debunking the myth that it's icky and all of that. But before we get to that, can you just let our listeners know why we should listen to anything you have to say today?
Oh, sure. Great question. ManyChat, we've built the biggest chat marketing platform in the world. So we have hundreds of thousands of people using ManyChat across 170 countries around the world. We're sending billions of messages every month, and we probably the biggest chat marketing company in the world. So this gives us a really bird's eye view of the market. And you've mentioned messenger marketing, but I would rather talk about the overall chat marketing, because Messenger is just one specific app. We are working with Instagram DMs, we're working with WhatsApp, we're working with Telegram, and we also have more classical channels like email and SMS also on the platform. So if you think about ManyChat, I think a lot of people think about the platform and heard about us because of the messenger marketing surge. But right now, our biggest source of growth actually is coming from Instagram DM automation. So basically using Instagram as a marketing channel and using chat automation and chat marketing through Instagram DMs. And we're also big on all the other channels. So this kind of gives us this view of what channels are really working, what strategies are working, and how people should be thinking about the future of marketing and the future of customer communication. Because clearly, the kind of classical channels like email, they're big, they work. On the other hand, they're kind of in a way stagnating, because if you think about where the conversation is right now. If you think about how you communicate with friends and family, how you communicate with your coworkers, everything has moved over to messaging apps in that respect. Like we talk to our friends and family over iMessage or WhatsApp or Telegram or Facebook Messenger, and maybe text each other. Maybe at some point there was a situation where you would actually send a friend or somebody an email like you should check out this or something, but those days are long gone. And right now messaging apps have 3 billion people using them every month across the world, and they're the most used apps on our phones. They're more popular than social networks. So clearly the customers have voted what channel they like to use to interact with themselves. And now the question is how businesses are going to be following that. And I think we have to distinguish like several things. This direction of using messaging apps for customer communication, in the way we see this evolving, it's an inevitable trajectory. On the other hand, there is this notion of it's not an own channel, like let's say something like email where you own your list, and each platform, even though they might have different owners, like iMessage is owned by Apple, Google Business Messaging is owned by Google, WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger are owned by, now we should say, Meta, right? So they're proprietary, and the company that owns that channel and that app, they set up different rules. And I think that's where kind of the messenger, like everything was going really well for messenger before like 2020, when Facebook really rolled back a lot of the policies around broadcasting, which actually they brought back in late 2021. And I think they just lost a lot of people and lost a lot of trust of businesses who invested in growing that list, but then weren't able to use that list. But now, back in 2021, they actually introduced new subscription permissions where you can actually ask people, hey, can I send you a message, let's see, once a month? And if a person agrees to that, they opt in. It's like an opt-in system. Then you can actually broadcast over Facebook Messenger, and you still get the amazing open rates of like 80%, 20% CTRs, et cetera. So that's something that all of that functionality is right now being in beta, and it's being tested with Facebook. But what I'm getting at here, this is kind of like a long answer to your question, is I think what we've learned over the past like 6-7 years is that the transition to chat is not going to happen kind of overnight. On the other hand, the customer dictates the channels. You cannot talk to people through a channel that they're not listening to or that they're not checking. And right now, the most engaging apps are messaging apps. So I think the key thing here is to find an omni-channel strategy where you use the best of both worlds, where you use the messaging apps, the Instagram DMs, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and others to really start the conversation and to be open to having those as a lead gen channels. But then you always make a point of getting what we call a re-engageable contact, which is either their phone number for SMS or either their email. And we've been talking about this omni-channel approach since 2019, even before like everything happened. But I think people just were too excited about the messenger piece that didn't really pay attention to everything else that we were basically preaching. 2019 was the year when we introduced SMS and email into the ManyChat platform. And obviously, like to introduce something like we started working on it even earlier, because there is always this situation where you have to use the proprietary apps to get exposure, organic reach, and conversions and engagement. But then you have to always make sure you have a safety net, and you always have the other channels that are also working really, really well. And what we're really excited about is that ManyChat right now is the only platform to actually provide kind of this all-in-one package where you can use messenger marketing, Instagram DM automation, Telegram marketing, WhatsApp marketing alongside email and SMS. And the coolest thing is that you get a unified context. So if you use, for example, Instagram DMs to get that lead, right? The person starts writing to you. You can actually ask them like lots of automated questions and get a lot of information about that customer, which is being saved directly to their unified profile. And then you can, in the same flow, in the same like automation builder that we have on ManyChat, you can actually send an email using literally their Instagram first name, last name. You can use any information that they've given out over Instagram directly to your business. And that will increase your open rates drastically, because it's not just being like, hey, just a generalized email sequence or welcome series or whatever it is. You're using messaging apps for what it's really good at, which is lead gen and interactivity, to actually get to know the customer and to use a channel that they're really familiar with. And then you're using the channels that are independent for re-engagement, for nurturing, that is outside the 24-hour window and everything else. So we're seeing really great results right now with that. And the future of marketing is omnichannel.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's so much that we need to just kind of circle back to and touch on and make sure everyone is hearing that. And first is, I love the reframe to chat versus messenger. And I think what happens so much in this online technological space, I mean, ManyChat's been around for a long time, right? And so we do associate it with messenger marketing. And you always have those few, usually very visible people that do something very poorly. And so you, as the consumer, they kind of make it icky for you because they do a shitty job. It's like when you sign up to somebody's email marketing list and all they do is ask you to buy their product day in and day out. And you're like, oh, email marketing is stupid, unsubscribe. And so I definitely do think that some people back in the day probably ruined our perception. But I think obviously the reframe is really important. And I love how you are telling us to treat it as a lead generation opportunity. And when we had our pre-chat, because, I had my own preconceived notions and I honestly hadn't been paying attention to how the technology had evolved. And I had those same ideas. But the fact that here we all are, we're spending all of this time, energy, and effort creating content for Instagram every single day, trying to figure out how do we get them off of Instagram and onto our website to buy our products. So we hook up our Instagram shop and we think that's going to be some magic bullet, or the link sticker came out and you're like, sweet, I don't have to have 10,000 followers to get a link in my stories. But guess what? Like, nobody clicks those because they just want to be on the platform that they're on. And so what you're doing is giving us a way to get that information and they never have to leave. It's native to wherever they already are. And one of the things that you said too, that I was like, oh, I have to make sure that the audience hears this, is the customer dictates where the conversation is happening. And we've seen this happen a lot with SMS. If you go back into my podcast catalog, it was one of the earliest episodes. I talked about SMS and it was pretty like general kind of conversation I was having because I hadn't really used it in the business that I was working in. But the market's perception of SMS now versus when I recorded that episode, which was within the last 2 years, is completely different. Completely different. So I understand a lot of us kind of come across this thing that it seems like the new thing and we're not really sure how we feel about it. So we kind of put it on a shelf and we don't revisit it, which is what I did with a tool like yours, admittedly. And now I'm here like, oh crap, I need to be paying attention to this because this is really going to change the game. And ultimately, what I tell people with email and SMS, because they always ask me, should I do SMS? I'm like, well, it depends. Does your customer want you to do SMS? And if they do, and that's where they're at, then yes, talk to them there. And so the same is true for this. If your customer is in the chat, if they're DMing you, which they probably are, then there's probably an opportunity for you here. So thank you for all of that information. And I hope you guys, as we go into talking more about the strategies and how you can actually use this in your business, I just wanted to make sure we sort of set that new stage and just reframed your thoughts about it a little bit. So let's pretend, Mike, that they're like, Sweet. I want to get in on this chat marketing thing. How do they actually utilize this?
Yeah, I think you've touched on Instagram. I think Instagram is going to be like one of the most exciting channels for a lot of e-commerce folks. Like as I've mentioned, Instagram just last year released an ability to automate DMs officially. And it's already getting mainstream traction in some areas of the world. US is kind of slower to pick up for some reason. So we need to fix that. We need to make sure everybody hears about the fact that you can do Instagram automation, because Instagram automation is amazing in terms of conversion rates, and it can really enable you to do much more effective campaigns on your Instagram profile. Let me give you just a few examples of what you could do with Instagram DM automation. So say, for example, you've mentioned the stickers, the link stickers.
Useless.
Yeah, this is what you could do. If you have good engagement on your stories, link stickers take you out of the platform. What we want to do is we want to make sure we have a way to re-engage you, for you to show interest, but then also for you to re-engage you and to get you to a purchase. One of the cool things that you could do right now on Instagram with the help of ManyChat is, instead of using a link sticker, you could say, drop a fire emoji, like a story reaction. So you can react with a fire emoji to get this discount. Fire emoji is 2 taps. Reaction, fire emoji. That's it. All they have to do, just clicking on the link and having it open up, that's 2 clicks. You have to click the sticker and then you have to click the visit this link thing. So instead of doing that, you ask them to leave you a fire emoji as a reaction to the story, which gets a ton of engagement if you're doing a good offer, and doesn't require them to like really a low effort type of action. What this does is it opens up a 24-hour window of messaging that person on Instagram. So when they react to that story, you can message them for 24 hours after that, with 80% open rates and 20% CTRs. So what you do with this is that you say, all right, react to this fire emoji to get this discount. They react with a fire emoji. The automation, the chatbot, first of all, it already knows your name. So it says, hey, Jessica, thanks for being interested in our promotion. You could either just drop the discount code right away and then try to cross-sell, upsell afterwards, or you could use this opportunity to grow your list, either email list or a phone number list. And you could say, hey, to get this discount, I'm going to send it to you over SMS. What's your phone number? Or if you want to do an email, you could say, hey, what's your email so that I can send you this discount? The conversion rate on getting that email from a person who dropped you the initial fire emoji is going to be anywhere from 60 to 80%. On the promotion that I did, I got 85%.
Okay, so you're saying 60, not 6%, 60%. Holy shit.
Yeah. Because the person already expressed interest and they're feeling very comfortable sharing their email over a protected channel. So it's like when you're on a website and filling out a form, you feel like you're in a public space because anybody can enter into that website. It's like, it doesn't feel secure. When you're dropping your email over chat, that feels different. And that's why right now the conversion rates are really, really high. Actually, I have to be specific. So I mentioned that I got 85%. So the truth is I got 70% on the initial question. So I had like if you want to get 30 days off of ManyChat, like 30 days of pro, drop your email and I'm going to give you 30 days off. So they basically drop the email. Now, the cool thing about chatbots and the whole thing about chat marketing is that it's more intricate, it's more personal, and it's more efficient in that way, because if you know how to use it, you get a lot of power. So 70% drop their email right away. If they don't respond to me in 5 to 10 minutes, I think I set the timer to like 5 minutes. 5 minutes is more than enough to send an email over chat, right? Nobody looks at types in their email for 5 minutes in DMs. It means that either they got distracted or they made a decision to not share their email. And that's fine. But we can actually work with some of the objections. And what is the number one objection? Like, I'm going to get spammed, or my email is going to get sold, or whatever. So what you could say is like, say, hey, if you share your email, we're not going to sell it to anyone. It's only for our database. etc. You could just send that message after 5 minutes of silence. And I got an additional 15%. So basically 70% give the email right away. For the remaining 30, after 5 minutes, they get a message, hey, no spam, like we're not going to sell it or anything. So out of those 50%, so 15% like actual percentage points, but 50% of that group decide that they want to leave their email. So that's how you get to 85%. And there's so many more other things that you could do. Like say, for example, you got the email, you say, all right, here's the coupon code. By the way, here are the things that are on sale, and you can display them in a very nice gallery. In a few hours, you can send something else. In one day, like in 23 hours, you could say, hey, have you been able to make a purchase? They can say yes or no. And depending on their answer, you could also relate different things. So it's a very powerful tool for growing the list, for actually converting your Instagram subscribers either directly to customers or to growing your list, either phone number list or an email list. And then the coolest thing is again, if you use email that's already built in ManyChat, you can actually take all of the context of that conversation and use it in an email. Things like the first name from Instagram or whatever they've answered. Like imagine you're using Instagram to do lead gen for more of a B2B product, or where you're trying to qualify folks and you've asked them like, hey, how big is your marketing budget? And they said like, it's, I don't know, $5,000 a month. Then you could say in an email, like, hey, we have a lot of customers who have a $5,000 budget. And you can have that as a variable inside that email. And this makes it more personal. You increase open rates, you increase CTR, and that's the power of the omnichannel approach.
Yeah. Oh, I love all of this. And when Mike and I first had our pre-chat, guys, I did go and sign up for ManyChat, and then I just didn't have time to set anything up. Now, that's not to dissuade you from doing it, because it's actually really simple, and the interface, and it's all drag and drop. It's like super easy to set this stuff up. If you can set up an email automation, this is actually easier. But that's also because I needed to get clear on where I wanted to send them. So I will definitely be implementing this in my business 100%, but I definitely encourage you guys to as well, especially as that lead generation. Take away the thought of, I need to sell through this. You can, but you don't. Think of it as a lead generation tool and start there. And I want to talk about that 24-hour window, because I know a lot of people get concerned. Well, like, wait, are they opting in? Are they going to be annoyed? So that window, guys, is given by the platforms. Like, this is not like black hat, like those old bots, the bot follows that were like against Instagram terms. That's not what this is. This is all created in partnership. So don't be afraid of that. But yeah, talk to us about that 24-hour window. What does it mean? And then what happens after that?
Yeah. So whenever somebody messages you, and this is a rule that is set by Instagram and Meta, they basically decide what's allowed and what's not allowed. So the way they set it up is basically to protect people from getting kind of overwhelmed with business messages and broadcasts on Instagram. They basically made a rule that when somebody messages your business account, you have 24 hours to talk to them. But if they do not message you back, then you basically lose the ability to talk to them unless they start talking to you again. So the way you think about this is that every time somebody messages you, every time somebody leaves a reaction in your stories, you get 24 hours to talk to them. And then you need to re-engage them through the same mechanisms, through stories, through posts, through lives, and through other things. So that's where the 24-hour comes from. And in terms of the, as you've said, like the bots, the bot follows, etc., I also wanted to make this clear. Like ManyChat is a Facebook business partner. I used to say that we have one call with them scheduled on Thursdays where we talk about the product strategy and everything else. Now it's actually two calls. So we're actually now having a call on Tuesday and on Thursday. One is a marketing call, one is a product call. And we talk about how we can basically enable more businesses to create more value through these business communications over WhatsApp, over Instagram DMs, or Facebook Messenger. And we're really proud of that partnership. So when you're working with us, you can be sure that we're taking every precaution and everything. We're only using official APIs. There's nothing gray or black about this. And yeah, you can check the Facebook business partner directory for our name there.
Yeah, and it matters, it matters.
Of course, because when we entered this market, like specifically the Instagram DM automation, it was driven by all these black hat companies who would ask people for like their username and password so they could automate, kind of pretend that they're logging in into the thing and automate the actual. And we never ask you for your username or Instagram password. It's all done through Facebook APIs, through official authentication mechanisms. And it's been like a challenge. Like I had to, for 6 months, I had to go on every stage and everything, say like, hey guys, yes, you've heard about DM automation, but before June 2nd, 2021, before the official release of all the APIs by Instagram itself, everything prior to that was black hat, and like it would get your account banned, etc. The stuff that we're doing and the stuff that we're doing in partnership with Instagram is completely approved, will not get you blocked. Like it's the official API. So I want to make that clear.
Yeah, you probably need that in big letters on your homepage.
Yeah.
Approved by Instagram.
I think we have like a badge, like an official Facebook business partner badge, which we did place on the homepage to make sure everybody knows that. But you remind me of like some really cool use cases for posts and for comments, actually. And did you know that you can actually start a conversation with everybody who leaves a comment on your Instagram post?
Really?
Yeah, it's official and it's officially supported. And you could do really, really creative campaigns with that for your e-commerce business on Instagram. One of our customers did a super interesting campaign, which is, like the giveaway campaigns where like you do a post and you say like tag 3 friends and the post goes viral. And basically the outcome of that is you get brand awareness, you may be getting some follows from that. And that's pretty much like it. Like you get a lot of comments, you get some brand awareness and get some follows. Now, they did the exact same campaign, but added chat marketing to it. So they added a chatbot to this. And the way they did this is really interesting. So same thing, hey, comment, tag 3 friends for a chance to win. It was a shopping spree in their e-commerce store. So they were giving like a gift card for their e-commerce store, which you could spend there. And they got a lot of comments. Every time somebody leaves a comment, they would get an automatic Instagram DM saying, hey, Jessica, thanks for commenting on our post. You're now part of the sweepstakes. You have 1 entry ticket to the sweepstakes. Congratulations. And then there was like a PS type of thing. By the way, if you want to get 5 more entry tickets, you can leave your email and you'll have 6. You're going to increase your chances of winning 6 times just by leaving your email. So thousands of people, it seems like disproportionate, like 6 times higher chances of winning just by leaving my email, of course. So they got thousands of people leaving their email. And that's already like a much better outcome. And it literally takes you 5 minutes to set up this automation. But they took it a step further. And what they did is they said, all right, great. Now you have 6 tickets. Thank you for leaving your email. You're 6 times more likely to win. By the way, if you want to increase your chances of winning even further, every time you mention us in your stories, you're going to get an additional 5 entry tickets. And the way that the Instagram APIs work is that the chatbot knows every time somebody mentions your Instagram handle in their stories, it's an opportunity to send a message. So every time somebody mentions you in the story, the chatbot knows that.
Oh.
So they set up an automation that says, all right, you mentioned us in your stories. Here's another 5 tickets. Now you have 11. Oh, you mentioned us again. Here's another 5. Now it's 16. Oh, you mentioned us again. So they got thousands of story mentions. And each story mention, for some people, it's tens of people. Some people, it's hundreds of people. For some people, it's thousands of people. And from that, they got thousands of followers. So a typical giveaway campaign without this automation, without this chat automation, just gives you a lot of comments and some followers. When they added chat automation, they got thousands of emails, they got thousands of story mentions, they got thousands of new followers, and they got more comments because people who saw the story go to the profile, saw the promotion, started commenting. So the number of comments also increased because the viral factor went up. And once you learn how ManyChat works, like all of this would be probably, if I was doing it, would be like 10, maybe like 15 minutes to set this up. But this will increase your results dramatically. And from a cost perspective, like ManyChat starts at like $15 a month. So it's completely disproportionate to what it can do for the business. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because not a lot of people know this. And I know that on Facebook Messenger, people are really excited about the comments growth tool. And the comments growth tool for Instagram has been out since, it hasn't been even a year. So in the grand scheme of things, this is very new. So if you haven't known this, you can actually message automatically everybody who comments on your Instagram posts. And you can do this in so many ways. You can say like, hey, comment this keyword, and you can have different replies for different keywords, or you can set up a thing that replies to all the comments, etc. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Don't downplay that. That's really freaking cool. So there's a couple of things that I want to, just in terms of their strategy, I want you to pay attention to the way they did this, right? They didn't come out saying, comment here, share on stories, give us your email, get all these entries. They got you to make a micro commitment. Do the easiest thing. All you got to do is comment. Just comment. That's super simple. It takes you 2 seconds to do it. So you as the consumer, you do it. Now you've already committed. You're already in. Then they say, hey, if you give us your email now, you'll get this. So that's an easier commitment than sharing a story because it's private. Nobody has to know that you did it. Now you get 5 more entries and now you're even deeper. And then it's like, hey, one more thing. If you do this, and now they're so far in it with you, they're like, oh, hell yeah, sure, I'll share. Like the list growth is cool. You know how I feel about list growth, though sometimes giveaway lists kind of churn faster. But those story shares, that's the new word of mouth. And it's really hard to get people, 1, to do it, and 2, for you to even be aware if they're doing it. So the fact that ManyChat can just track that for you is amazing. I'll give you guys an example from my own business, since you guys know what I do. For me, it's like, hey, I have all of these free resources, but it's a lot for me to say, hey, go to ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and sign up for my free resource library. Like, you're not going to do that. But if I said, hey, DM me free stuff and I'll get you access to my resource library, you'd probably do that, or comment on this post or reply to this story. Super simple. And then another thing I want you guys to think about is how amazing would this be to build a pre-launch list for your next sale, promotion, or product launch? Hey, reply with the fire emoji to get on the early access list. Done. Takes 2 seconds. So Mike's like smiling and nodding his head because he can see me on video, and I'm getting very excited about this. So much opportunity. Okay. So what else can you tell us in terms of like the functionality of ManyChat, kind of where you've been, where you're going? What else can we expect? I mean, if you're talking to Meta 2 times a week, you guys got to be planning some stuff.
Yeah, of course. There's a lot of things in the plans. One of the things that kind of got maybe less attention compared to the power of this, I think, is the thing that was released just end of last year, and maybe like it got caught up in like Black Friday and the Christmas and everything else. But did you know that you can actually automatically reply to all the comments that are being left during an Instagram live?
No.
So a lot of people do lives, and it's a great way to interact and to have a direct interaction, but it's really hard to actually convert the Instagram live conversations to something like an action, because as soon as somebody closes the app or leaves the thing, they go out of the live. So it's really hard to have a call to action in this. So this is the cool thing. You can actually set up an automation that will basically, when you go live and you have a conversation with your audience, and maybe you want to announce a sale or you want to do a product launch or something else, you could say, like right now, right on this live, don't go to any post, don't go to any website, just write the keyword, let's say coupon or free or early access, whatever it is, whatever you choose that keyword to be. And you can say, once you do that, you're going to get a message from my page, and it's going to guide you through the process of getting that free thing, or from pre-ordering, or whatever the conversion is. And the way it works is that Instagram basically released the same APIs that they have for basically responding to comments on a post, on a regular post, to an Instagram live. So basically, you can ask people to write a specific thing during the live, and they will get an automatic message. And the way we were using this is like basically to, let's say, give out free templates. We would be doing a live talking about the power of Instagram DM automation. And we would say, hey, if you want to try these templates, just comment the word templates right in this chat and you're going to get a link. Like literally hundreds of people comment. And it's not possible without automation to reply to those comments directly because they disappear after the live is gone. And you cannot do it, but the automation can. I know that some people are doing live selling and those types of things. That's a very powerful tool. You could also say always use that to grow your list. Like, for example, they say templates, you say, great, we're going to send the templates to your email. What's your email? Again, you use that to build the list, and you can re-engage them in 5 minutes and 10 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. And you can actually also tag them. So you have a list of people who are tagged, who are interested in the product. Now, this is really cool, like story reactions, comments growth tool. So being able to automatically send a message to everybody who comments on the IG live, that's all great. The last thing that I wanted to mention in terms of features is that you can actually know if a person is following your page or not. And this is very important. And this is how you should be using this. If you have free content that you want to be giving out, you could say, hey, I have this free thing going out. And the person messages you, and you can check if they're following your account or not. And you can say, hey, this is only for community. If you want to be a part of the community, you have to follow me on Instagram, right? If you're not following me, like, why are you trying to get my free stuff?
Right.
So the bot can check and say, like, all right, you're not following me. Please follow me first, become a part of the community. Then I'll give you the free ebook, the coupon, whatever it is. Like with a giveaway, right? It's going to get spread to a lot of folks who are not your followers. So the guys ran this campaign before this feature was released, because I'm sure if this feature was already in place, the first thing I would do is I would say, hey, thanks for commenting with 3 friends. You have 1 entry ticket. To get, let's say, 3 more, you have to follow us on Instagram, because we know that you're not following us. And how are you going to know if you won?
Right.
So you have to go and follow us. And the coolest thing is we actually literally know if they're following or not. So they cannot kind of get around this. If they go back to the conversation and say, all right, I followed you, the chatbot checks if they actually followed you or not, and can say, like, no, you didn't. If they didn't, you can say, like, hey, we should be building a trusting relationship here. Why are you trying to get my free stuff without following you? But if they do follow you, then you can say, all right, yes, all good. Here's the link to the PDF. Here's the coupon, or here are your 3 entry tickets, etc. So a lot of really cool features for businesses who are big on Instagram. This is a conversion monster. Like if you're spending a lot of time building content, building your audience, trying to get high engagement rates, etc., how do you convert? How do you actually build a list? How do you sell? How do you follow up? Like, as you've said, people do not want to leave the platform. Like, there has to be this ramp up for them to actually leave Instagram and go to your website and buy something. And getting them to kind of react to a story is very natural. Automatically deepening that relationship because they reacted to a story, now you can establish that conversation. You can have some back and forth. That's very important to build trust, to build that affinity, that connection. And once they feel comfortable with your brand, then they will actually be much more likely to click on the link, to go and buy something from you, etc. It's a relationship like anything else. It starts out with something like at a distance, they may be seeing something, then they may be like following, starting to interact like cautiously. Maybe they start watching your stories, maybe they start reacting to your stories. When you have these gaps, big gaps in terms of like, oh, we want to go from a story to a sale, like sure, some people will do that, but like there's going to be a huge gap where people don't do that. But going from a story to a story reaction, that's much easier, that's much simpler, much lower effort. Going from a story reaction to like some back and forth on DMs that is automated. All right, good. So we're already now interacting privately, right? And then we can go something to like, hey, you want to explore this? You want to see that? Like, here's some things, here's some links. Then the sale happens.
Yeah. And it's all those little micro commitments along the way, right? Very rarely do people go from 0 to 100. And that's why this can be so powerful in your business. And look, guys, you're not creating this automation and trying to pretend that it's not a bot. Like you're just going to be straight up. People are going to understand that. They're going to just be grateful that you are getting them what they are asking for in an efficient way. So don't be afraid of that either.
Yeah, and it's fine. Like everybody's using technology. Like the website is an automation. Like you're not sitting there and typing HTML to like show something. You've built something and it's scalable. The same thing with chatbots. It's your voice. You've built this. It speaks in your brand voice, or if it's like a prosumer type of thing, or if you're a professional that's using it for your personal brand, like it's an interactive experience of your voice and your values and the products and services that you provide.
Yeah. And it's so freaking cool. Okay, I feel like we could chat about this all day, but we're running up on time here. And I know you're a busy man. So before we do wrap up, since you're speaking from the lens of a SaaS product, can you just kind of share with us? Let me back up. I like to keep it real with my audience and I like to share failures and mistakes because I feel like not enough people are talking about that. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people make or failures they have when they're trying to utilize chat marketing in their business?
Yeah, I think you've touched on this previously. People think about chat marketing as kind of like the substitute for like email. Like it's like, oh, I gotta go all in and they get burned, etc. It's not like this. You have to look at the way people communicate with each other. Like the consumer drives the way businesses are going to be communicating with themselves. And the way that people are doing this right now is they're using all the channels. They're using email, they're using SMS, they're using messaging apps. And if you're being like too hyped up about something, that's usually a recipe for disappointment. You have to be realistic. All right, so we have this proprietary platforms. You cannot do broadcasting, let's say on Instagram, and you shouldn't expect broadcasting on Instagram. But what this actually is good for, this is great for conversion rates. This is great for engagement. This is great to help you escalate that from somebody who is passive to somebody who is actually interacting with your business and your brand. And then to grow a re-engageable list, either a phone number or an email, and then to use those channels because they're not proprietary. They don't have these limitations. But on the other hand, you cannot use email for interactivity over Instagram, right?
Right.
So a marketer who is smart about these channels is going to be thinking about, all right, how do I take the best of each of these channels and of each of these basically kind of features of these channels? Chat marketing is really great for lead gen, for interactivity. WhatsApp, for example, does have broadcasting. So if you're international, if you're coming from, let's say, Central America or South America, some parts of Europe, WhatsApp is going to be working great for you. And you should really think about building a WhatsApp list because we're seeing a lot of people having success with it. And you can actually do broadcasting and re-engagement on WhatsApp the way that you cannot do it on Facebook Messenger because WhatsApp is run by a separate team and they've decided to go a separate route in terms of monetization. So you can actually do broadcast. It's paid. It's kind of like an SMS type of model, pay as you go, but it's not per message, but per conversation. You're paying for a 24-hour window of like back and forth so that they're not kind of punishing you for having something that is interactive, which is really cool. Because for SMS, you have to like, you're sending a message and you are like, if I have this message longer, it's going to be 2 messages. I'm going to be paying twice as much. So you're trying to keep it short and very markety and like very in your face to increase conversions, etc. With WhatsApp, you can be more interactive because you're not paying for back and forth. You're paying for the 24-hour window of conversing with them. So back to the original thing, do not think about chat and email as opposites. Think about this as a part of an omnichannel strategy. You will not be able to not do chat because that's where the customers are. And you're also not going to be able to not do like the classical channels like email and SMS because they're independent and you want to make sure you have a safety net and their ROI on that is really, really good. So if you want to educate yourself, if you want to make sure that you're ready for the future world, you have to know how these channels work. You have to use email. SMS is booming. All the chat applications are also booming. Just make sure you understand what they're good for. Do not come with the expectation, oh, like we're not going to do email at all. We're now going to do only Facebook Messenger. And I think some people thought about that. And that's why they got burned because Facebook is going to change something tomorrow. And you want to make sure you always have a balanced portfolio of how you talk to your customers. On the other hand, people got burned in 2020, like with not being able to do broadcasting over Messenger. The other way around, don't think that because of that, chat is somehow hindered or something. Like literally, chat applications are used by 3 billion people. They're not going away. We would all love to live in a world where it's all open and email continues to have 80% open rates, et cetera. That's just not the reality. The reality is that the attention is what matters. And the customer's attention is right now in all of these messaging apps. It might sound overwhelming. It might sound like, oh, they all have different features and different policies, et cetera. If you're serious about your business, about marketing, if you're a serious digital marketer, you have to start learning this either way. If WhatsApp is big in your country, you have to learn all the policies and the way that WhatsApp marketing works. If Facebook Messenger is, that's a great channel for acquisition. If you have a big Instagram following, you have to learn Instagram DM automation. Maybe you shouldn't like try and learn everything at once. I think that would be a recipe for failure. But for the channels that you are already working for your business, say, for example, Facebook ads, those ads could be directed to Facebook Messenger to grow those leads and to have the interaction. If you have a following on Instagram, you should study Instagram automation. If you have people on WhatsApp and it's big in your country, you should do WhatsApp. So those are the things that I would be thinking about. And I would stop this kind of like holy war. I thought that we kind of stopped it back 2 years ago, back in 2019 when ManyChat implemented email and SMS. But everybody was so far away on the other side of the fence, like basically, oh yeah, great, you're doing email, that's great, but we're still doing all eggs in one basket, like we're still doing messenger marketing, etc. Now, we want to make sure everybody has a more kind of balanced, holistic understanding that your customer list is going to be an omni-channel list of emails, phone numbers, Facebook Messenger profiles, Instagram DMs, WhatsApp numbers, Telegram profiles, etc. It's going to be just a mixed bag. And for different businesses, for different countries, it's going to be a different mix of channels. I'm not suggesting everybody go into like all the channels. Pick the channels that work for you. Like if you're in the US, like email should be a part of that. For a lot of people, for example, if we are talking about Southeast Asia or South America, email is not going to be a part of that because good luck trying to email somebody in Brazil, right? And see what open rates you get there. If you're in Brazil, you have to be using WhatsApp. So it's about carefully understanding what channels your customers are using and then making sure you're not kind of like over indexing on either only doing that channel or not doing it at all. Let's say you're in a camp of like, I gotta own my list. I'm never gonna do WhatsApp. No, if you're in Brazil, you're gonna be doing WhatsApp. Maybe not this year. Like there's gonna come a time where it's gonna be inevitable for you. So if you wanna make sure you're ahead of the curve and get the best open rates, you have to stay kind of at the edge of the technology and all the APIs that are coming out. All right. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I am so with you, especially when you talk about that holistic view. And look, they all have their place. So if you just kind of zoom out a little bit, right? We're so in the weeds in our business. So zoom out and I want you to look at your overall customer journey. I want you to go inside Google Analytics and I want you to look at your assisted conversion report. I want you to look at your top paths report. And what you're going to see is people are having multiple touch points with you across a shit ton of different channels. And so it's up to us as the marketer or the CEO of our business, where we really show up where that customer is at and use the tools for what they're great for. It's not email or SMS. It's how do you use both of them? Because you can't really build a relationship through SMS. SMS is like notifications, right? Email, you can go deeper. Chat marketing, this is where you're doing lead generation and you're kind of creating that relationship with them on this third-party platform that you're trying to get them to move off of. So these all have a place in your overall marketing strategy. Is that the word I'm looking for? Sure, strategy. Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing all of this with us. I'm just super excited to get schooled on this and bring all of this information to the audience. Can you please tell us, one, where do we go to get our hands on ManyChat? And I understand that you have a little gift for the audience.
Sure. So to learn about ManyChat.com, you go to ManyChat.com, ManyChat.com, and we have a free plan. You don't have to pay anything. You can try out the software and you can even have the free trial for all the pro features. So you can not only try out the free features, but you can actually try out the pro features for free without paying anything. Make sure it suits you, make sure you're getting value, and then make a decision of buying it. Now, for all of your listeners, Jessica, we have a promo code for 30 days of free pro plan. So you get all the professional features, all the things like randomizers, A/B tests, advanced growth tools, unlimited things, etc. And all you have to do is type the coupon code podcast. So I'm not going to spell podcast because we're on one.
That's awesome. And guys, I'll have all of those details in the show notes as well. So that's really cool because you could completely see ROI before you even have to pay for the tool, which is amazing.
So that's a 30-day free pro trial there with the coupon code podcast. And lastly, we talked a lot today about Instagram and a lot of different campaigns, the story reactions, the comments growth tool, the lives, the checking if they're following you, etc. It's like a lot of people ask, where do I learn all of this stuff? Like, how do I learn this? First of all, we have a free course. So you can go out and check out a free course on Instagram DM automation on ManyChat. But even a better way to do this would be to go to our Instagram Summit. It's a huge event. We're having tens of thousands of people, literally already, I think it's over 10,000 people registered for the event. So it's a huge event. We're having, I think it's like 30 speakers who are Instagram marketers who are coming from really diverse backgrounds, either e-commerce or influencers or social media agencies. And they're all coming together to teach you how to use Instagram to grow your business, either from an engagement standpoint, following standpoint, conversions, monetization, all of that. And it's called the Instagram Summit. It's the second one we're doing. We already did one last year. It was the first and the biggest one. It was for 8,000 people, the last one. This one is already over 10,000 people. And we're going to probably cross 20,000 people once we actually do it. And the dates are April 5th to April 6th. So it's a 2-day event, April 5th, April 6th. Go to igsummit.com, igsummit.com, and make sure you're there, because if you're interested in how to use Instagram for marketing, this is the event to be.
I'm going to be there, guys. And if you're on my email list, you're totally going to get an email about this as well. You can check the show notes for all the links. My lounge members, this is going to be added as an event in your membership hub so that you can sign up to join this summit. This is awesome. Thank you so much again for everything that you've shared today. I really appreciate it, Mike. And I know my listeners do too. Thanks for hanging out with us. I know you could be anywhere on the internet right now, and I'll see you on the flip side, friends. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking to surround yourself with more product entrepreneurs who totally get your life right now, get your booty on over to the e-commerce badassery Facebook group. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, e-commerce friends, stay badass.